Hello YouTube friends, my name is Angel and I have made this video to teach you how to waterproof our roof with fiberglass for tiles and any other surface. Waterproof everything, I have tried it and well, the results are quite good. The material is very lightweight and it is really good. Above all, we will need a cutter, some scissors, and I have brought up the first thing with a small spatula because the first thing to do is to leave the roof well cleaned. We cannot put this on when there is a lot. We need to remove the plants and leave everything nice and clean. So first I used the small spatula to remove the moss and all the plants, and then I swept everything with a broom. The first thing we do is to make sure the roof is well treated before we start working on it. Well, as you can see, the small spatula has already disappeared. I assume that you have already cleaned your roof, that it is clean now, and that you have swept it so that there is nothing left. I show you the fiberglass I bought is 1 meter by 100. There are several types. There is one that is mesh, but this one, if you notice, will waterproof much more than the other. Since you are spending money and doing it yourselves, use the best materials. Then, to cut, you can manage with either a cutter or some scissors. Using the cutter results in a much better cut. It is much cleaner. With the scissors, the result is somewhat worse. With the cutter, imagine that in the end you pass it and you are cutting what is underneath, okay? I mean, you can use two things. You can also use the scissors to leverage a bit. Later in the video, I will show you that you can leverage a little. And well, the material is very light and very good. Friends, as I said, the first thing you need to do is remove all the plants from the tiles and clean it. Make sure it's well swept. I assume you will see how it looked before I started. Okay, you are going to see the tiles here, as you can see. Even though the tiles looked very good from below, I thought they were perfect, but you can see that they are black, especially on that side that looks black. That's where I had the moss, and just below, some strange plants like some cacti had grown there. As you can see, there is no sand at all, you know. I have everything ready because if you start applying the fiberglass and there's sand underneath, when you begin to press down, you'll notice that it doesn't settle properly, you know. You take in air and so on, and you have to leave it as best as possible. I took a little while to do this, but in the end, you appreciate the results. 2021. This is the widest part of the roof that I have. As you can see, the tiles are in pretty good condition. However, when you get closer, you can see it worse. But it's not just about turning the tiles. Look at how this wall is starting to show signs of wear due to time, and it's necessary to go up and fix it a bit. Then I will show you the final result of how the wall has turned out. Well, let's start. Now, you will see that I already have the fiberglass cut to begin placing it on the tiles. We always have to start, as I mentioned, from the bottom, from the area where the water collects. Okay. Keeping everything clean, you see that I have my broom there, which I took out after removing all the plants I had and so on. I swept it, and if you notice, I don't have anything, not even a grain of sand. That's where I had a lot of moss. And well, with the spatula, I lifted it all up. I removed all the moss, and the little plants were right between the tiles. There were already some little plants, and so on. Well, I'm going to show you how I make the cuts, so you can see how easy it is, and I'll share it with you in the next video. We are in front of our 1 meter wide fiberglass. And I want to record it so you can see how simple it is, how easy it is to work with fiberglass. As you can see, with the scissors, you can cut quite well with regular scissors. And what we need to do, as I mentioned, is to have the mold ready. I usually make a fairly thick block to climb up and take advantage of being on the roof to do it. Look how easy it is to cut, you know. It has no complications, and if you have made the mold, they will all come out practically the same. I have always made them a little wider because I like one fiberglass to overlap with the other, because in the end we are going to paint it, and everything will be fused together, and will look quite good. For each meter, it has given me enough for 4 to make 4. in case you want to use them as a guide. The roof I have installed is a mixed tile, if you have noticed, okay? And I tell you that this is super simple. It is one. It takes some time, but you can trim it down, and it doesn't have anything. I made the video for you to see how easy it is to get the hang of it. This doesn't weigh anything to put on the tile. It remains quite protected, and I think it looks pretty good. Well, you are going to see how easy it is. How easy it is to put the fiberglass. You need to buy fiberglass coating glue, okay? Here I have one of the cutouts I made from the mold. This is the coating glue, and we apply it, and it will start to get wet. The fiberglass gets wet, and depending on how it gets wet, it will become like a sheet, but with a slightly harder consistency. You know, I mean, the sheet won't break, man. If you pull on it, then you will separate the fiberglass and it will break. We apply fiberglass to all of it. We apply fiberglass to all of it because what I have done is that I have put as much as I could inside. The tiles, everything I could, everything I just said. The tile has a little bit of play. Okay, so do I have to put it there in the video? With one hand I had the phone, and with the other, as I wanted to do it, well, but normally I grab it. Do you see the looseness there? Do you see? I usually lift it up. I use those scissors that are for fish, but I would leverage it, and it worked quite well for me. And I would put in as much as I could, everything I could. I put the fiberglass in there. Okay, you see that in the end it turned out quite well, and there's a little bit left over. I had a little extra when I made the mold. I recommend that you take the mold and make it longer than the length of the tile. You see that I already have it placed, and now I need to trim the excess. We stick it well so that it adheres properly to the tile, and now, as I mentioned, you can do it with scissors like I do, which leaves a slightly worse cut, or with the cutter, which gives you a better result. However, when you start cutting, you can cut the bottom part with the cutter. I have managed to do it both ways. I have done it with the cutter and with scissors quite well. Well, as I mentioned, we need to keep in mind not to make mistakes when placing it. Look, this is how it's turning out. Do you see how it overlaps? I have paused the image so you can see how one fiberglass overlaps with another. I first place the bottom one and then the ones on top. Okay, because later we are going to paint it and everything will be solidified, thus preventing any drops from coming in from any side. We are going to leave the roof practically sealed for many years. With this, I can tell you that it will look quite interesting. Fiberglass is not only useful for waterproofing tiles. Here I mentioned that I have a small roof, and I have also waterproofed it. If you notice, I did it in one whole piece. I am in favor of going down, taking measurements, and making the cuts down below, then going up and applying the glue to put it in one piece to avoid that. Well, to extend its duration, it's better to do it in one piece rather than overlapping one fiberglass with another. Look at how it turned out. Well, once you have installed the fiberglass and have done several, you need to take it and paint it. I use these two brushes, the thick one for wide surfaces and this one for radiators, to get into the gaps and such, which works very well. 2001. As I explained in the video, I have taken the thick brush to take less time, which is quite good, but above all, this is the one that will give us a good finish. When it comes to placing it between the eyebrows, whether below or above, you need a bit of skill, but in the end, if you stick around to see the end of the video, you'll see how everything turns out quite well. You know, look at this. I just carefully finished the last piece of fiberglass because I do it in sections. And meticulously, up there at the top, you will see what I have shown you of the piece I made in one piece. Do you see the wall? The wall that has already been touched up, I had to touch up all the tiles 3 times. It's a bit of a tedious job, but it takes time. It takes time, you know. In the end, well, you see, everything turns out fine. You can also see the corners, which I have with fiberglass. I have everything waterproofed, and I hope it lasts for a long time. I hope everything stays quite well for a while. I just have to show you the other part of the roof that I have painted entirely. As you can see, it has just been painted and is still drying. If you look at the end, I have the area around the chimney. Let me zoom in so you can see that not only does the fiberglass work for the edges, but it also serves to waterproof any area. You can see that water is pouring from the end of the photo. Well, I have it finished now. This shot was taken at the end. I haven't gone back up to the roof. All that's left are these 4 tiles down below. You can see the paint and the 2 brushes I used. I hope you liked the video. I made it with a lot of love. I hope it helps you with your roof and your projects. As always, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Your support means a lot to me, and it doesn't cost anything to follow me. You help me make videos like this. Best regards.